want to be sure you all can hear me, okay? So, good? All right. All right, Pat, in the foreword to the book, well, first of all, the title is Galilee. So there's a clue. Then in the foreword, you say, you're quoting from the King James Version of the Bible, that this quote, "Can anything good come out of," it's actually Nazareth. That's the real biblical quote.
Right.
But Nazareth is in the district of Galilee. So the whole concept is, can anything good come out of Galilee? Both, when we know what came out of Galilee in the Bible, right? Who came out of Galilee? But now we're looking at people in this novel coming from a place called Galilee. It seems to me, you say at the end of the foreword, that living a meaningful life means ultimately achieving a healing and a reconciling. That's the quote, a healing and a reconciling. So I would love for you to see if you could talk about that a little bit. A meaningful life leading to healing and reconciling.
Well, I'm going to answer that, and I'm going to also speak to something else too. I feel like a great portion of my adult life has been about, all fiction is autobiographical, but not really, but really, So there's been exile, there's been reconciliation, and then exile again and reconciliation, and healing. And I mean, I had the fortune or misfortune at one point in my life of belonging to a church called the Church of Reconciliation here in San Antonio. And it used to really piss me off that that was the name of the church, because they actually took the name seriously and felt like reconciliation was their call. And I didn't like the fact that that was sort of like a stipulation to be there. I went there for peace and quiet. I didn't go there to try to reconcile with a bunch of people or reconcile my life or whatever. But peer pressure will have its way and things like that, And so there has been enormous reconciliation with family, with friends, with all kinds of folks, with myself, and in the process of that is healing. Galilee, I was maybe 6 months into the writing of this novel when the title came to me of Galilee. And at that time I was very involved with reconciliation, and I was very struck by the whole notion that all of these quote-unquote ne'er-do-wells were coming out of a district and being dismissed because of where they were coming from, Galilee. And Christ himself dismissed because he was from Galilee, he's from Nazareth. And even though I'm not in that place anymore, I'm still fascinated by that place. And I feel like I'm called in my writing to chronicle Galilee. And I think I chronicle Galilee in just about all of my novels. That's all of us. That's us. That's not the big heroes. That's not the big whoopity-whoops. These are real people. These are the quote-unquote, they call them ordinary, non-elites, whatever. I wish we had different language, but these are us. These are us. And I feel called to tell these stories. So when you read my novels, you're going to read novels about simple people. You're going to read novels about folks who are not on the big stage. They're back in the shadows, living incredibly full lives and healing themselves and healing other people around them. So,
don't you want to read it? You have is one of the quotes before the novel. It comes from one of the characters named May Taylor. And May says this: "We are all saints, Pete. Some of us just ain't as good as the rest." So I love, all of you will love the character of May. She's quite remarkable. In part because you can tell from her personality, she's blunt, and she is also something of an oracle in the story. There is also sort of a magical component that is associated with her and her actions and what she reveals. And I'd like for you to talk some about her and her function in the story.
Well, I like you've referred to her as an oracle. And Terry, in her blurb on the back of the novel, also referred to her as an oracle as well. And it's funny because I had never thought of her in that way, but when you all both use those words, it's like, yeah, that makes perfect
You're
sense.
outvoted.
You know, she just needed a cigarette and we would have been back in the Matrix, right? She is. Emma refers to Alejandro Montoya, the bartender, as a shaman, and he is in his own way a shaman. May Taylor is a definite shaman. May Taylor is, my first novel, Scarred Angels, had a character named Daltrey. Daltrey is, she's the magical character in that novel. She is the woman who brings it. She's the wisdom character, okay? May Taylor is the wisdom character in Galilee. A woman goddess named Yamaya is the wisdom character in the novel that's coming out soon, Sevart's Song. So May brings wisdom, but she brings cockeyed wisdom. You know, she's not. She brings the same wisdom as, for those of you who know the oracle in the Matrix. You know, you go through that door and this chain-smoking woman. You know, it's like she's going to lay it down, and that's May Taylor. I mean, she's living in her shack near Lake Jeremy, and she's shelling peas on the porch when Pete and another man come up to talk to her, and she's a crackpot, and but she knows what she knows, and she's very intuitive, very perceptive, and she brooks no fools. And that's a central. May, Yamaya, Daltrey, they're central archetypes in my fiction. These wisdom characters, they're all black. And I think they're very much connected to the Black Madonna, who's very important to me. I feel blessed by the Black Madonna, and these are all Black Madonnas in these fiction. And so not only is she important in terms of what she brings into the story, she is, I think, and all of the others, Yamaya, Daltrey, they're the heart center of the novels. They're where the wisdom lies. And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So here's my last question before we open it up to the room. I was particularly excited and impressed by all the descriptions of the settings. These characters travel throughout the South and the Southwest, and the settings are beautifully done, and the places are quite evocative. And the title of the novel is Place. So I'd love for you to talk about the function of setting and place in your book. It
grounds the story. It not only grounds the story, it grounds me in the story. It grounds me in the writing of the novels. When I have the place, then I can let the stories and the voices start coming through. So it's the ground for me. It also, I mean, you know, people that know me, they know where these places are. You know, they know they're not necessarily where I say they are. You know, I mean, Chimayo, yes, Chimayo is exactly where Chimayo is, right? But other places, you know, I mean, I was telling somebody recently that Cherokee, Arkansas does not exist. I don't even know where that came from, but whatever, it's there, right? The canyons, though, the canyons are Austin canyons, the canyons are Virginia canyons. They're all places I've been. So when I go and write a novel, I'm on a road trip, whether it's a road trip novel or not. I'm on a road trip. I'm just all over the place. It's like, oh yeah, you're going there. When I wrote, when I was writing Sevart's Song, the third novel, I encountered a place in the novel where I was going to absolutely need a space that I'd never been before, a place that was just desiccated, desolate, just destroyed. I needed a place like that, and I had never experienced an environment that really would give me that I could write about or I could describe and all. And so I was like, okay, well, it'll come. So a few years back, Walden and Tina and I went on a road trip up to Portland, and we drove through Nevada. and I found that space. It was like on this incredibly desolate highway that we almost ran out of gas on. And I mean, it was the most desiccated environment I'd ever been into. And that became the desert that I needed for the third novel. So like I say, place grounds me in the story, and then lets the rest sort of grow out of it. But place is also kind of this selfish traveling vehicle, you know. It's like, okay, good, I get to go on a road trip back to Montgomery, Alabama today, or, you know, so, because these are all places that I know. They're all places I know.